At age 13, my parents decided to move us to United States. We came to this country with nothing, like literally like less than like $600 in our pockets. And I just had to pick up the slack. I had to like go out there, I gotta work, you know, and from that point on, from age 13 and on, I always had a job. Again, I'm 20, 21, 22 years old, right? And I'm in a room with people that are just like worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. But I tell you why most of the agents cannot go beyond 60 grand or 70 grand. So to answer your question, I think it's the leads. You gotta have enough at bats. If you don't have enough at bats, you're just not gonna have chances to go out there and close deals.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Alan Kay Show. Today we're gonna be switching things up. Alan is always having a special guest, and today we get to actually learn a little bit more about him and his past experience. So
I'm the special guest today.
Oh yeah, you're the special guest. Yep.
It's funny, actually this morning, right, I posted on Facebook, I said, hey, I'm planning to do more podcasts as a guest in March, right? And these are the ideas that I really want to share. I already got 3 people that reached out to me. They wanted me on a podcast.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what if there is someone like business owner or anything, if they do want to hop on a podcast with you, like what?
Yeah, it's just got to be a business owner. They got to be an agent. They got to be a team leader, right? A brokerage owner, entrepreneur, right? Anyone who's got a journey. I think if you're in business, you got to have some sort of a journey, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
we definitely deal with a lot of obstacles, and we overcome a lot of them pretty much on a daily basis. So yeah, definitely hit me up, and we can have a conversation, and then have you on a podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, one of the things, and I've talked to a few of the agents of the brokerage, and some of the brokers have asked me a little bit about your past experience. So kind of take us back. I mean, like, who is Alan? And what got you into real estate?
Alan is a very complicated individual. At least that's what my wife would say. You're so complicated, right? I was like, which way? It's like every single way. You're complicated, right? Look, I mean, I shared this story before. Like, I'm super lucky to be even alive, if you think about it, right? Like when I was born, my parents told me, that's years afterwards, that I had a heart defect, right? So I had a hole in my heart, right? I don't know if it was the size of a dime or whatever it is, but when you're little, like it was just one of those things where they basically said I have like 50-50 chance of surviving after 2 years. Wow. Right. So, I mean, they were like in full panic mode. They took me to many different specialists, right? And everybody pretty much said the same exact thing. We cannot operate on him, right? At that time, I was born in former Soviet Union. Man, there was just, like, the technology was not there. It was 1978, 79, right? So they just said, look, I mean, just pray and hope that, it heals itself. And, luckily, knock on wood, after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and, I was fine. And then, they did an MRI a few years later after that, I think, and everything healed, no more holes or anything like that in my heart, right? Wow. So that was super scary for my parents. I mean, I was a little kid. I didn't know any different. In fact, as a matter of like I didn't even really know about this. My parents were not really like even sharing that with me until like I was like my teenage years, right? And then during my entrepreneurial journey, every time I would get stressed out, my mom would see me being stressed out. She would always say, like, make sure that you check your heart, make sure you be careful, make sure that she's always worried about my heart. Right? And I'm 46 right now. Luckily, no issues with the heart or anything like that. But that was the probably the biggest adversity that I had to overcome initially. And thank God, I'm healthy. I'm good. Then at age 13, we decided to, my parents decided to move us to United States. So that was another thing. That was, a shocker, honestly. Coming from a small city, small town, without speaking any English, without really knowing any.
How small was the town?
We probably maybe about 30, 40,000 people, no more than 50,000 people. Man, it was a small town in former republics of Soviet Union. I mean, we had cars, we had all that kind of stuff. It's not like we had like horse and buggies or anything like that. But it was definitely a culture shock, if you will, coming from that small town. and then ending up in New York City, right?
It's like night and day right there.
Concrete
Busiest city
jungle.
in the country.
Concrete jungle. It was definitely yeah, definitely different. Let me put it this way, right?
Yeah.
But it was great, because it teaches you quite a bit, in terms of you know multiple cultures, different religions. It really allows you to get stronger in terms of your mindset because when you're 13, 14 years old and you go to school and you don't speak a lick of English and you don't dress like an American, the kids can be cruel. They can be tough on you, right? So I had a few different instances where, the kids were really difficult. I remember at one point, one of my classes, I think it was an English class, I had a stick of deodorant on my desk, right? Which was like, it's embarrassing, right? It was just like, fuck, like, and I used to, at that age, 13, 14, you're looking at the girls, it's like you're hitting the puberty, right? So, and then again, not speaking English, right? That was tough, but I was really determined from day one when we got here. Like, I'm gonna learn English. I'm gonna speak English. I'm gonna read English. I'm gonna become American, right? So for me, that was like the most important thing.
No English coming in.
No English. We didn't we came to this country with nothing, like literally like less than like $600 in our pockets, like nothing. Wow. It was me, two of my siblings, my parents. And we ended up living with my dad's aunt, who was our sponsor. And she lived in a small one-bedroom apartment. She pretty much, she was collecting Social Security. She was not rich by any standards, and we had to do survive. Like, I remember I had to go and get a job right away after school. I would hand out flyers for $1.50 an hour until 9, 10 o'clock at night. My mom, she worked multiple jobs. My dad started working. He was actually, I think, selling like hot dogs or bagels in a city. And then he just didn't like it. One thing about, him just in general, and I love him dearly, but when he moved to the States, he just never really accepted this being his next home, right? So it was always kind of looking back and just reminiscing and just reflecting on who he was there. He was a pretty successful businessman. And about 6-7 months later, he decided to go back. Wow. Right. He went, it was a hard time for him and couldn't really find himself. And he decided to go back. And he decided to go back to start some different ventures and everything like that. Some of them were good, some of them failed, right? But he was pretty much back in Russia for about 6 years. So from age 13 to age 18, 17, 18, he was not even in the picture most of the time. I mean, he would come here and there for a week or two, a month or so, but then he would go back, right? So it was me, it was my mom, right? It was two of my siblings, the younger ones, and I just had to pick up the slack. I had to go out there. I got to work, and from that point on, from age 13 and on, I always had a job. Even for a year and a half, I was in college. I had a job. I actually had a full-time job. Yeah. I was more interested in that job. Was
that the jewelry?
Yeah, selling jewelry, selling than actually going and attending the classes, right? And after about a year or so, I quit because I was never a great student. I was never even a good student. I was like a C+ student. Yeah. Don't get it wrong. I wasn't dumb. It's just I just never really liked school, right? It's interesting. My youngest one is kind of similar to that. She kind of reminds me, Abigail. She's super smart, right? But her school is not her really forte. She's just, she's just not really good, right? I mean, she gets decent grades, but I don't see her becoming a scientist or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting world we live in too. I was looking. People were talking about college and stuff, the return on investment and everything. It's, you got to kind of pick a career path where it's really, really worth it for you with college.
Almost definitely. I did not really know what I wanted to do. Honestly, I did not have mentors. Growing up, I did not have my only mentor. God bless him. His name is Zach, actually, and he was the owner of the jewelry store, and he kind of took me under his wings when I was like 16 years old, 17. We were also neighbors. Wow. And he really the one who mentored me. It wasn't really my dad because he was not really there. But even when he came back, my dad couldn't really connect with me when it comes to that level, right? Couldn't really ask him, hey, Dad, what do you think about, taking out this degree or this major or this or that, right? I wanted to become an attorney, actually. I really, I enjoyed watching attorneys, lawyers, right, on TV. I was like, man, that would be awesome. That would be great. But I would get mixed messages from people about becoming an attorney. Some would say, yeah, you're going to crush it. And some would say, dude, you're going to be a taxi driver because a lot of attorneys are not really making that much money. So I didn't have the mentorship. And when I went to college, it was I went there honestly for girls. I just, it's St. John's University. It's got a lot of really nice looking girls. And I was like, I'm just going to go there and just have a good time with the girls,
Yeah, there you go.
And after about, 6 to 12 months, you just get bored. And, I was like, what, screw this. And I'm just going to continue working. And I was making good money. I was making $1,000, $1,500 a week selling jewelry in Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush Avenue and Fulton Street, which is not the most desirable area at that time. That was back in 1994, 5, 6, right? But still, that was my first experience when it comes to sales, right? That was my first experience in asking questions, the customer, handling their objections, presenting the product in a way that makes sense for them, right? The power of persuasion, not convincing, but persuading them, right? So that was kind of my first steps of seeing the power of sales, communication, articulation, right? Value proposition, all of those things. That's when they were born.
Who moved you the most? I know you had Zach as a mentor, but did you read anything? Were you listening to someone who really just kind of took you to the next level?
I was not really a reader at that time. It's funny, we're right now, my wife constantly harping on the fact that she wants our kids to read more, especially Zach, right? My son. But he's not the best as far as that goes. I got him a Kobe Bryant book.
Oh, there you go.
He's reading that, and for every 10 pages that he reads, then he does 100 push-ups, right? So that's his routine every night. But I never really, no, I didn't. I mean, at that time, there were no podcasts, man. In
That's
1990s, there was no YouTube.
You can maybe pop in what are they called? The cassette with Zig Ziglar.
No, none of that stuff. No. So it was Zach. And then I remember I decided to go to attend a computer school because at that time, computers, all of that was the rage, 1995, 96, 97, 98. Closer
it's
to
AI
2000.
right now. Versus,
Yeah. So I went to this school on Long Island called CCC, Career Computer something Center or something like that, right? So it was a 6-month course or 8 months course, right? You get your degree as a tech, right? And they had a job fair there, and I went through it. I handed out my resume, whatever I was able to put together. And a week later, a guy calls me up and he's like, hey, I got your resume. My recruiter was so impressed with you. She thinks that you can be a great fit for our company. We're a multi-million-dollar company. We do X, Y, and Z. You got to come. You got to interview. So he sold me on it right there. Instead of me selling him, he sold me, right? I was like, shit, I got to go. I got to do this. Yeah. So I go to the interview. And this guy, his name is John. He's one of my mentors as well at that time, John Lederer. And it's he's giving an interview with me. So instead of really interviewing me, he's really kind of just sharing all the features and all the benefits of joining the company. And I was like, shit, I'm sold. I'm signing, right? So he hires me as a sales rep, with the base pay of $18,000. I think it was either $18,000 or $21,000.
Okay. Yeah. So.
It wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Right, 18 grand. But you know, he painted this beautiful picture of like, man, you're gonna make this much in commissions, right? You can make 50 grand, 60 grand, 70 grand. I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm joining. So I went from making like $4,500, $5,000 a month to like literally making less than $2,000 a month.
Wow.
But I knew I made the right decision or made the right step because for me, I wanted progress. I just did not see myself
Like no more growth.
being in a jewelry business for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? I enjoyed sales. I just did not really enjoy like selling jewelry that time. Maybe I was young. Maybe I was stupid. I don't know what I would be right now if I would be continuing doing that. But I was like, I just needed a next level of progression, right? So I worked for him for about a year in that company. Was excelling, selling lots of product. We were selling like computer supplies, networking equipment, and all of that. I was constantly on the phones. That helped me to develop my phone skills. Right? And then John got this awesome opportunity to be VP of sales for a software company in a city, right, called Popkin Software. And he's like, man, watch, like, let me get situated there. I'm going to bring you in. Like, I'm going to bring you in. You're going to be one of my sales guys. And that's exactly what happened. Like, literally 5-6 months later, he calls me up, says, hey, Alan, I got an position for you. I got an opportunity for you. And that was a great opportunity because now I was like in big leagues, right? My base was $65,000. The total comp was over $100,000, right? Yeah. I'm now like working with Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 companies. I'm in a software business. I'm flying every week, every other week. I'm doing presentations, right? I was like 20 years old, 21 years old.
That's that's some good money at that, especially at that time. Even now, it's still good money.
It was good money, but it was even like a better opportunity.
Yeah.
An opportunity to be mentored by the pros, and then also being in a room with like C-level executives, CIOs of the companies, directors of the companies. Again, I'm 20, 21, 22 years old, right? And I'm in a room with people that are just like worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm in a room with like Nationwide Insurance Company. I'm in a room with Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, right? Raytheon. Man, it's like 21, 22, and you're constantly traveling. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And plus, I made decent money, good money at that time, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did for about 5 years, and then we decided to make our journey this way 21 years ago to Arizona from New York.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then I know you had some business ventures too before you got into real estate, right? Do you want to kind of give a quick recap of your journey? What led you to real estate, maybe after when you guys got to Phoenix?
Yeah, so when we got to Phoenix in 2003, I still was employed by the same company, Popkin Software, right? And after about 5 or 6 months, I was let go. Now
After you moved here?
I moved. We were building a house. Yeah. I think we closed on that house in June or July of 2023. By the way, it was like a 2,500 square foot house. We bought it for like $214,000. The same house right now is like $600,000.
Yeah, I bet. That's crazy.
Maybe even more.
I was looking
right?
online.
Insane,
it's
right?
crazy.
And we built it with the pool, which is like.
What would that mortgage be right now? Like if you like had that and you were paying for it right now?
Well, if the interest rate would be like 2.5%, then it would be nothing.
Like,
I would already pay it off. The point being is that I didn't pay it off. I actually lost that house. And if you want to hear that story, that's another story to itself. I lost that house to the bank. But so we closed on the house, and then I was let go, right? And I looked at a couple of different sales jobs out there, and at the end I said, okay, I mean, there's some opportunities, there's some possibilities. But then my brother-in-law, who followed us with my sister, started working for this luxury transportation company here in town. And every time I would see him, he's pitching me like starting a business. Like, hey, let's open up a business. You run the front, I'm doing the driving and all of that stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm like 24 years old, 25 years old. Like, I mean, I don't know anything about like businesses. I really don't. I mean, I worked for a company, but I never operated a business. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. So we started. we started the business literally with 2 cars, 2 Lincoln Town cars. Yeah, I mean, that's when the fun began. Like I was working, both of us, I think, we were working like 16, 17, 18 hours a day for like 3 years in a row. No joke. Yeah, I was busting my ass, and we're young.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything better. Like, you don't know what you don't know. Didn't really have systems. Didn't know how to hire people. Didn't know how to manage
just ready
people.
to
Didn't have
work.
any train. It was just pure grind, like grinding, and it's just like it's like trading my time 16, 17, 18 hours a day, right? And I was doing everything: dispatching, account development, account management, driver management. Like I was pretty much handling most of the responsibilities. He was the one who was driving, and overseeing the drivers at the sites. And we had several different resorts that we were contracted with, and he would just make sure that quality assurance was in place, that the drivers are all shaved and they're wearing white shirts and ties and all of that stuff, right? And then he was also responsible for, car maintenance, right? So that's what he was doing. But after about 3 years, we got the traction. We started bringing in more cars. We started bringing more drivers. We built in the staff as well. We're making good money. And then like 2007, 2008 happened, the Great Recession. And everything just cratered.
Yeah. And then that led to real estate, right?
Well, not yet, because what happened in 2008, I mean, you were what? How old are you in 2008?
Let's see. 2006. I was 12 years. Actually, I was 12 years old.
You were 12 years old.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was 12 years
You're
old.
12 years old.
Yeah, I was pretty old.
Pre-puberty, right?
Yeah.
Playing hoops.
Yeah,
playing basketball.
playing basketball. Yep.
Yeah.
I was the same height at 12 too.
Oh, no, you are not.
Basically.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay. So you already hit the puberty. then
Yeah,
at
I
12.
did. I
Okay.
did hit puberty.
Okay,
I was
got it.
actually one of the taller ones.
No
at that
way.
age, yeah.
Really. Dude, I mean, it was gnarly. It was like, I mean, I still like remember it like it was yesterday, honestly. Like what I went through, what I put my wife through during those years, man, it was tough. Like the business just cratered. Like we lost 70-80% of our business in 6 months. Like we had like close to like 40 people, like most of them were let go. That was probably one of the most difficult things, is letting people go, because you just cannot afford to pay them. And then we had to let go a lot of our vehicles, like repossessed, because nobody was buying cars, right? And then like the accountants started complaining, and everything just dried up. It was one obstacle over. It was a complete and utter shit show. Like every day I would wake up and I say, why am I, like literally, why am I up? Why am I up? Like I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to see. I don't want to deal with stuff, and we were over levered. I mean, we were.
How old were you during this time?
I would say probably what, 20, 28, 29?
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, 28, 29.
Wow.
Right. Close to 30, right? So this is all continued for about 3 years, from 2007 to 2010.
Okay.
Like, and during that 3 year period, like my partner, who's my brother-in-law, still my brother-in-law, by the way, he decided to bounce. He decided to say, hey man, I'm down with this thing, right? And I get him. I understand. Yeah. Like it was so difficult on so many different fronts. Look, I was like $500,000 in debt. I was losing my rental properties. I was over leveraged there, big time. I was over leveraged on my house that I purchased for $214,000, and I had a line of credit that was another $150,000, $160,000. It was not worth $400,000, right? It was not, right? Debt, credit card debt, right? Like my wife was pregnant with our second child at the same time. Yeah. So he left. He decided to go back to New York. And I'm stuck here with the failing business that is doing like a fraction what it did before. So like I had to make a decision. Like, okay, do I continue, right? Or do I like wave a white flag and just like go back to a corporate world? And I don't know, something in me just really like pushed me forward. Like I just didn't want to give up. I didn't want to quit.
Yeah.
and I did not. I didn't, right? And I went through 3 years of pain, lots of pain, financially, emotionally. My wife was there supporting me. Like, there's no way I would do this. I would be where I'm at right now, honestly, without her support. Like, not even once during that period of time, she questioned like what I'm doing. Not even once during that time, there a lot of relationships break, fall apart, or disintegrate when you are hitting those financial barriers, like when you are like not making money, or you're losing money, or you lost money, right? Like, you see this constantly. And not even once she never questioned that. She was always there, believing in me and supporting me, which is so huge.
It is.
And she never really undermined my decision, even though a lot of decisions I made during that period of time, obviously a lot of them were out of my control, but still, like, I fucked up, right? Like, we lost our home. Like, while she was pregnant, 7 months pregnant, like, we decided that she would go back to live with her parents, and they're 2,500 miles away in New York, while I'm trying to clean the shit up here, like, and find a place to live, because we're about to be homeless, like, become homeless, right? So
It's a lot of,
Yeah.
it's beautiful how much trust she had in you and everything.
So we dealt with it, right? And I found a rental, right? It was not an ideal location, but it was a beautiful location. It was actually the best location for us at that time. It was Anthem. It was Anthem Country Club.
Oh, nice.
It was secluded. It was nice, scenic, right? Wildlife, grumpy neighbors. Didn't care that much about the neighbors, right? They would look at us with the kids like we're like literally came from another planet, because they're all like in their 60s and 70s,
it's
dude.
like
They're like older,
Yeah.
they're already like done with all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, you don't belong here. You do not belong here, right? But it was the best thing that happened, right? And like, there's that saying, this, Tristan, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? Yeah. But also, like, it really allows you to almost kind of become like immune to some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I needed that in my life, because it really prepared me for the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
Right. Because the last 15 years are been pretty difficult as well.
Yeah.
Right. With my health situation, with real estate, starting a brokerage during COVID. The last 3 years with the market being down as much as 40%, like all of that stuff, right? You learn how to cope with it. You learn how to filter it, if you will, to a degree where it's not taking over like your day or your week or your month.
Do you think the amount of stress you can handle kind of determines how successful, or do you think it has a correlation with like your success and how much stress you can tolerate?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it hardens you, right?
Yeah.
It really does. Like, as business owners, and I heard this somewhere, this guy, man, I was at Andy Elliott's event. And there was a guy there, he's blue collar millionaire, right? I don't remember his name, Heath something. And he said, like, as business owners, we eat shit. We eat shit sandwiches for breakfast, for lunch, and dinner, and dessert. Like, we eat shit sandwiches every day.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the reality of it. Mm-hmm. Being a business owner, people see the output.
Yeah.
But they don't really see or experience a lot of times the input.
Yeah.
The input that's what it takes. That's the daily crap that we're dealing with or we're eating in order for us to, like, not only grow, but actually, like, in reality, to survive.
Yeah.
Like, I posted a couple of days ago on Facebook and Instagram. I said, man, you know, there's a day when I feel like a genius. There's a day where I feel like, you know what, I made a mistake, or like things are just gonna figure out themselves, right? And then there are like multiple days when I'm just fearing running out of money. Running out of
Complete
money.
roller coaster.
Right. It's a roller coaster, right? And we own a business together, right?
I was thinking about just all the hours
Like
that's just
all the hours that we go
So,
through,
yeah,
right? And like
yeah.
we feel like, oh, like we got to this stage, right? And things are looks like everything's under control. And then literally on the weekend, you get a call and the person says, oh, you know what? I have another opportunity
Yeah.
that I'm going to take on. And you got to find somebody else to replace me.
in the emergency room.
in emergency, right? While you're in emergency room, while your girlfriend's having a surgery.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that was probably when I actually thought to myself, I'm like, man, things are going good now. Like we've been at this for like a few years.
Yeah.
You know, working all day at it. Things are working, and they are.
Yeah.
But it shows like that was a sign for me where it's like the job is not done.
No, and
it's never done.
It's never done,
Yeah.
right? And you know, we have to have the resolute ability to overcome these challenges, and these challenges are going to continue to happen, and like we just have to continue to push through. Like that's my motto. Like I have to continue to push through. Like the last 2.5, 3 years been tough, really, really rough, right? But we still have to continue to push through because I know there's the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely, whether it's 2025 or it's 2026. I mean, we're recording this. That's what, February 14 today, 2025, right? We'll see what's going to happen this year, right? But like, dude, we got to continue to overcome this stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that kind of makes me want to transition into a little bit more about the real estate. I know a lot of the people who follow you are, you know, in the real estate industry, real estate agents, brokers, team leaders. You've sold hundreds of millions of dollars yourself as a solo agent. And just kind of tell us a little bit more about, you know, getting ramped up from that. And what would you do differently if you started in real estate again? Like in order to, like, I'm curious what you do differently as a real estate agent.
Well, I got into the real estate space in 2013, right? And again, that was another thing is like I was getting like mixed messages from people about real estate sales.
Especially, yeah. Especially
And
at
I
that
get
time.
it. Now I get it. I understand because if you think about it, like I don't know if you read this article from Inman, 71% of the real estate agents did not do even one deal last year. Like they didn't do it. Like imagine 71% of the agents out of 1.5 million agents did not do a deal. Like 1 million agents, I think, or more, did not do one transaction last year, 2024.
Yeah,
That's insane.
that's crazy.
Right? So the messages that I was getting at that time was like, man, like realtors are not making any money, right? But I also had some people that said, yeah, if you treat it like a business, right, and you have a business background, which I did at that time, like you'll be fine. You'll figure it out, right? So I listened to that crowd, right? And I got my license, and the first 6 months were super painful for many different reasons. I decided to probably pick the most difficult lead source out there, which is expired cancel listings. And I would be just like, dude, every day I would show up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Crazy. I would role play. I have Mike Ferry scripts in front of me everywhere. I have a mirror on, and I'm smiling and dialing. I am smiling and dialing. I got a dialer working, and I'm getting rejected left and right. Costat, rejected, and I was like, holy shit, this is hard.
Yeah,
This is hard, right? And then during the same period of time, like, then I get a news that my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And at first they were like all freaking out because they thought it was stage 4. So I'm like worried, like I'm stressing out. And then like, you know, we're talking about outputs and inputs. So here I am every day working on the inputs, right? I'm making phone calls and everything like that, but I'm not getting any outputs. I'm not getting any like results. And what I mean by that is like I'm not making any money. Right. And I have like outputs, like I got $5,000 going out every single month and I don't have any money to cover it. Right. So luckily my wife was working, right? So she was covering most of it, thank God. But like the stuff like that, as a man, okay, our job is to provide.
Yep.
You know, that's why they call us a breadwinner, right? We are hunters.
Yeah.
Right? Women, and I'm not diminishing their their skill or anything like that. Obviously, there are a lot of women, they're badasses, they work and everything like that. My wife still works, right? But they're more into like, home, security, family, right? That. But the man, they have to go out there and every day they gotta kill what they eat. Like that's it. We gotta bring food on the table.
Yeah.
Right? And when you go out there every day, which I did, and then I would not kill what I need to eat and come home without making any money, that affects you. Yeah. At least that's what affected me. It was tough. For weeks and months and months and months not getting paid, and you putting in like 60, 70, 80 hours a week, it's hard.
And after everything you guys have been through previously, it's like
right. Like, and
the pressure.
We're finally financially we're okay.
Yeah.
But now it's like, holy shit! Like we're back at it again because there's no paycheck.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm gonna get that listing. I don't know if that listing is gonna even sell. I don't know if I'm gonna get a buyer. Right. So that was like going on for 6 months. While this is all going on, I started having health issues. And at first I was like, maybe I ate something. Maybe I ate something. Well, it's just continued to linger. So and what I mean by health issues, I'm talking about like going to the bathroom 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day. Number 2, not number 1. Number 2.
It's not enough. Yeah.
Okay. And now I'm seeing blood.
Yeah. Jeez.
Which is like, man, it freaked me out big time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, like I got to go to the specialist. So go to the specialist, and they're like, dude, like we gotta check you. And I was like, check for what? They're like, well, we gotta do the colonoscopy. I was like, what's that? And they're like, we gotta stick the tube with the camera up your rectum. I was like, great,
Yeah, wonderful.
wow, right? Like, yeah, that's what we gotta do. And I was like, at first, of course, like you're a man. There's no way. Absolutely,
There's another
not.
solution.
There's got to be something else. Can you just do like an MRI or an X-ray? No, that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck. Okay, so they did it and they discovered that I have ulcerative colitis. Inflammation of my large colon. And they said, man, like. You gotta take care of yourself, and these are the drugs that you gotta take. Started taking those drugs, didn't really help that much at all.
Really?
And I think the genesis of that is I think the biggest reason was the stress, stress, right? And then I think also not sleeping a lot, not eating healthy, right? All of that stuff contributed to it. But I remember, man, driving to the listing appointments, and instead of thinking about getting that listing, I'm thinking about like the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or like asking the seller to use their bathroom. Like that's how, seriously, I mean, that's.
I feel like I don't even think about that, but that's like such a huge mindset shift. Like that's a tough battle in your head that you're dealing with because you're trying to focus on business
because it's out of your control.
Yeah,
that is out of your control. Like literally, like when it happens, you get cramps. Like you can't hold it.
Jeez.
You gotta go, right? And I know it's too much information, TMI and everything like that, but it is painful, right? Yeah. So I'm dealing with that while trying to get my business off the ground, like literally off the ground. Like I haven't sold anything.
Yeah.
I haven't make any money, like literally nothing. But again, like I think that the blessing of dealing with all the adversity when I was born, with my heart situation, then when I came to this country, and adjusting to that and adapting to that, and getting all the bullshit from the kids in school.
Yeah.
And then, like overcoming 2008, 2009 stuff, right? Like it hardened me where I was like, okay, I got to continue to push through. God is on my side. There's a reason I'm here.
Yeah.
Like I got to continue to push through. And finally, after about six painful months, I got my first listing. It was not a huge listing. It was a $100,000 listing. $2,500 commission check. But finally, it was a win. For me, that was a win. Because people talk about the outputs, right? And the output is like, yeah, finally I got one listing that is going to pay me $2,500. But more importantly, it was a confidence booster for me. Like, I can do
Like
this.
I
can do this, right? I belong here. I can do this. And now for me, it's like, shit, I'm going to get another listing. And I'm going to get another listing. And I'm going to get another listing, right? And that was the case. And by the end of the year, I think I sold like 13, 14 homes, right? And that gave me the momentum to double that to 35 in my second year and then 75 in my third year. But to go back to your question, like why a lot of agents, like what I would do differently,
What
I
do
think
you
you
do
said.
differently, yeah.
What I would do differently is probably have a mentor, in the early stages of my career. I did not really have a mentor. What I should have done, probably joined a successful team or have a mentor, and I didn't do it. So a lot of the heavy leg work, if you will, or heavy lifting,
Yeah.
I did it. I didn't have a coach, right? Didn't have a mentor. So that was probably one thing that I would change is having somebody that really will guide me, that would help me when need to, right? And also at times challenge me and hold me accountable.
Yeah, definitely. Why is it you think 90% of agents, like there's a statistic, like 90% of agents won't even ever hit, like six figures in real estate? Why do you think that is?
Well, there's a statistic that 80, I think, I don't know, it's 87% or 80 something percent of agents do not like renew their licenses after like 2, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, right? But then we talked about 71% of the agents didn't even do one deal. So forget about 100,000. But I tell you why, like most of the agents cannot, let's say, go beyond 60 grand or 70 grand. Is because they don't have a way of consistently generating opportunities, leads, right? Leads are the lifeblood of our business. And by the way, leads are the lifeblood of many other businesses or industries.
Yeah, everywhere.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of agents, unfortunately, they just rely way too much on their sphere and their past clients. And don't get me wrong, I love Sphere. I love past clients, and I'm not sitting here and judging. In fact, we have some really successful agents that just crushing it, right? But I think when the downturn happens, like it's been the case for the last 2.5, 3 years, with a lot of the Sphere and a lot of past clients, they're sitting on the sidelines. So if you don't have another source of leads coming in, right, your business is most likely going to decline. It's going to suffer, right? So for me, just to kind of give you an idea, the first year I was one of those years was a rookie. Like I didn't know. I left a lot of money on the table. A lot of money on the table. The second year when I closed 35 transactions, it was primarily 2 lead sources, maybe 3. It was expireds, it was for sale by owners, and it was open houses. So that's 3, right? My third year in business, it was expireds, it was for sale by owners, it was open houses, and also some combination of online buyer leads. That was my third year when I closed 75 transactions. So to answer your question, I think it's the leads, right? You got to have enough at bats. If you don't have enough at bats, like you're just not going to have chances to go out there and close deals.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one.
And like with consistently generating leads. I think that's one of the biggest things too. I talked to an agent who they were generating leads for about 6 months. They got some momentum, they're happy, and then they stopped generating leads, then resumed it, but then they had a couple months where they weren't they didn't have that consistent flow of deal flow
Yeah.
coming in. So
Yeah, when we say generating leads, by the way, they don't
and
have
anyway.
to be. They don't have to be, let's say, paid leads.
Yeah.
Right. Like what I mean leads. Leads at the end of the day is an opportunity, and that can be from a paid lead. That can be from a Facebook Marketplace, which is a free lead. That could be your Sphere referral. That could be your past client. That can be an open house. That could be, essentially, it's someone who is in the market to potentially buy or sell. That's a lead. There are many different sources out there. There are many different ways of skinning the cat,
yeah.
right? And most of them work if you work them. But you have to work them, and you have to have a consistent flow of them coming in order for your pipeline always be healthy, and you have constant opportunities out there to go out and provide the services that you provide, and helping them with their real estate needs.
Yeah, so I mean, for your agents right now, when you're talking to them and everything, like what if they were in your shoes? I mean,
Yeah.
what like would you still recommend to do the same lead sources, or like what would your recommendation, or what advice do you give to agents nowadays to?
Nothing has changed if you really think about it. Like for years, it's the same thing, man. Us as agents, right? Our daily activities, but our priority number one is to talk to people about real estate every day.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how you do it, right? Doesn't matter if it's over the phone, via text, DM, in person, right? It doesn't really matter. Like our job every day is to communicate our services and our expertise to the people that are looking to buy or sell. That's it. That's what we have to do. Right now, some people, some agents, they are, very prospecting heavy, right? Like, for example, I was very prospecting heavy, right? I would call expires, cancels, for sale by owners, right? We did some circle prospecting as well, right? Open houses, right? So that's prospect heavy. We also have agents that are crushing it with social media, right? They're branding heavy, But at the end of the day, it really comes back to like, pick a lead source, commit to it, go deep, right? And what I mean by go deep, do not give up on it after like a couple of tries, or after a week or two or three. Like you got to give it some time. You got to really have to like develop the skill, right? You got to develop that skill, right? Skill is important, and the way you're going to be able to develop the skill is by actually doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like if, for example, if I'm holding just one open house and I don't get any business out of it, I haven't really developed my skill. But if I hold open houses for the next 90 days, and if I do 3-4 of them every single week, I bet you after 90 days, I have the skill,
Yeah.
right? I know how to hold them. I know what to look for. I know what kind of questions to ask. I know how to handle certain objections. I know how to build a rapport, right? I know how to ask for business. After about 90 days, right, even more than that, you're going to get better, right? Now, it doesn't mean you're going to get better if you don't learn from it. Every opportunity that you have, regardless whether you're holding an open house or you're calling individuals or you're DMing individuals, right, you have to be constantly iterating and getting better. Like if you're not getting better, then like, that saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results, right? So that's the definition of insanity. So if you're going to be doing it, make sure you do it in a way where you're actually improving. You get better at it. But I tell you, like if you, let's say, holding open houses for the next 6 months and you do them 3 days a week, I bet you're going to be better than 90+% of agents that are out there. Same thing, for example, if you're doing video. If you're recording videos 3 times a week, I bet you after 6 months, you're going to be better than 90+% of agents out there.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? So any lead source out there will work if you work that lead source. Right? Versus what unfortunately a lot of agents do is they hear from someone that this guy's crushing it with this lead source. And then they try it.
Yeah.
and they try it for a week or two, and it doesn't really go according to the plan, and then they like start questioning whether they're actually like doing the right thing, right, or it actually works or not, and then a few weeks and months later they get discouraged and they give up. And we talk about this constantly, right? It's almost kind of like going to the oil field and you're like drilling all these holes, and each hole is like 1 foot or 2 foot long or deep, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to get a pay dirt that
Versus if
way.
you just focused on one
If you just
hole.
focus on one thing,
Yeah.
right, and you're intentional and focused on one thing, right, and you're consistent on that thing, right, and that's one thing,
Yeah.
right, most likely you're going to see the result.
Definitely. So, speaking of like results and stuff, you run your own real estate brokerage. You've had a lot of successful agents. I mean, what would you say is like one of your favorite success stories of an agent? When you've seen them come into your brokerage and just seeing where they're at now. I mean, what would you say, like through mentorship? Would you say is one of the biggest success stories that
Well, we brought in so many agents, right, in the last 5 years, and there are a lot of successes, right? It just really depends, man. I mean, yeah, I had agents that literally asked me to pay for their gas, like they couldn't afford, but they were hustling and they were going out there and they were showing homes, and 2-3 weeks later they would get that client under contract.
That's incredible.
And they get another client under contract, and they get another client under contract, and they had a couple $100,000 in commissions. Like I had these types of stories. I mean, so that's a success because like that agent was in his 50s, and he had to make it happen. Like, or go get like, and this guy is still a producing agent, makes great money, and lives a great life.
Wow.
Right? Had an agent that started with me as a mom, didn't have a job, and did not have the best relationship with her husband, but she wanted an opportunity, and she wanted to get out of his control, right? And she would show up to the office every day in a beat up car, but she would show up, and she would do the work, and she would get better, and like that year she did like over $100,000, right?
Wow.
I have agents that doubled, tripled their production with us. We have agents like Steven. I mentioned his name a couple of days ago on a post. Like, he came to me a year ago saying, man, like I work with buyers and I want to focus primarily on sellers. Mm-hmm. Right now, like most of his business are listings.
I think he has 6 listings right
He's
now.
got 6
Or he got
listings right
6
now.
listings last week. He
Right,
said.
right. So like, and he doubled his sales. He went from 4.5 million in sales to close to $10 million in sales last year in a very tough market.
Yep.
And there are many other stories. Like Maria, she started with us as a brand new agent. And the first year she did like $5 million in sales. Second year, she did like $8 or $9 million in sales. Right. So while she was pregnant and gave birth.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there are stories, right? And I'm super blessed, I tell you. I have great agents. They're awesome human beings. I got their back. I love them. And my job is easier when we have agents that are like, going out there and they're competing, right? And they want to get better.
Yeah.
Now, it's not perfect. And trust me, I also have agents that we definitely need to have a conversation, and they got to produce.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the case with any brokerage out there, if you think about it, right? Like I had a conversation, you were on that coaching call a couple of days ago with a brokerage owner that asked, how do you make non-producing agents to produce? And my response was, you can't.
Yeah.
and we had 30 people in a Zoom, and they're like, "What
Like,
the
what?
fuck?" That was not the well,
They
that was
weren't
not
expecting the
that was
answer.
not the answer, right? I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
you can't,"
Yeah.
and the reason you can't is because you cannot control if they're going to buy in or not.
Yeah.
You cannot control their actions, right? You cannot control whether they're actually going to go out there and deploy the things that you're teaching them to deploy, right? Like at the end of the day, you know, that saying, you can lead the horse to the well, you cannot make it drink, right? And I'm being brutally honest. And I'm not saying I'm giving up on the agents, but at the end of the day, like, I feel like we want more for the agents than they actually want for themselves. They gotta want more. Like our responsibilities as brokerage owners or team leaders, right, is to lead ourselves first. We gotta walk the walk. Then we'll lead others, right? Our next responsibility is to, yes, motivation is important. Yes, inspiration is important. But our responsibility is to create the environment where these agents can choose to grow, choose to take action, choose to leverage the tools and resources that we have in front of them,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
Also, our responsibility is to set and manage standards and expectations, right?
Yeah.
Provide better support, right? And again, unconditionally love them and have their back when they're dealing with some issues.
Yeah.
That's our job. These are our responsibilities. Our responsibilities are not including babysitting them and trying to make them do something that they're not willing to do themselves,
Yeah.
right? So how do you fix that? Well, the way you fix that is ABR. You know what ABR stands for?
Always
Be recruiting.
Yep.
Always be looking out.
We need
Right,
a hat.
ABR,
You need a
ABR,
hat like
always
that.
be recruiting. That means
Yeah.
you're always looking for the talent.
Yeah.
You're always looking for those agents that are going to be producing for your company.
Yeah. And that kind of brings me to the next question where always be recruiting. You know, you've hired hundreds of agents to your brokerage. You started with 7. Right?
Yeah, a handful, yeah.
Just a handful of agents.
5, 6, 7, I don't
So
know. Yep.
how did you walk us through that? How did you basically built a brokerage from the ground up. So, you know, take us through that journey of actually scaling the brokerage from the brokerage standpoint.
Yeah, well, the reason I say handful is because I started with X, but then after a month and a half or so, we're on lockdown with COVID. So I had a bunch of agents that just like left.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I had to make a decision, as a brokerage owner, I understood from the get-go that in order for me to grow this thing, it cannot just be like me going out there and slinging homes for a living. Now, I've done that for the first 2.5, 3 years. I was still selling real estate. I had no choice. You know, because when you're growing, you're investing back into the company. And then you're also bringing in agents. And a lot of agents in the first year that we brought in were like a brand new agents. So a lot of them didn't work out.
What does that look like in production and still trying to grow the brokerage? I mean, there's a lot of brokerages out there. We have a lot of clients who are doing that right now.
Yeah. 80-20 rule.
80-20?
Yeah,
Okay.
80-20 rule. 80% of your time you're spending on production,
Okay.
and 20% of your time you're spending on recruiting.
Yeah.
Right. Now, eventually it should be 20-80, right?
Yeah.
But
When do you make that? When did you make that switch from 80
when it
80
started
20 20
when it
80?
started covering expenses.
Gotcha.
I had a conversation with the broker owner this morning. He got into our system about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. He was not a paid member, but he was part of our system. I think we had a conversation with him maybe about 1.5 years ago or whatever it is. He started with, at that time, he had 16 agents. Since 7 of his agents left since then. He's got 9 agents right now, and he's in a market right now where literally you only have about 425 listings in the market, no freaking listings,
wow.
right? And these agents are not producing. So this guy is not able to even cover his expenses with the agent's production. So he's is covering expenses with his savings. And he wants to grow. He wants to bring a bunch of agents. He's in a market with like 14,000 agents. But I said the first step for you is like finding out how many agents you need to cover your expenses. And in his case, it was about six agents, 6 or 7 agents. So I said the first step that we're going to do for you is we're going to get you to 6 or 7 producing agents that will cover your expense. Mm-hmm. The next step, I said, is you don't have an admin. It's just him. It's a one-man show. So the next step is we're going to help you to find that badass admin. Mm-hmm. That's going to be that eventually second in command. That's going to be that buffer between you and the agents. So a lot of inquiries, a lot of questions are going to be going to the admin versus you. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be absent. It just means that you have now more bandwidth, right, to grow the business. The way you grow your business, not selling more homes, the way you grow the brokerage is by recruiting more agents, more producing agents, right? So that's the transition that anyone out there that is looking to make is like, yes, you have to basically do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, 5 jobs. That's the reality. There are 100,000 brokerages out there. 80% of them have 10 or less agents. That means that most of the brokerage owners wear multiple hats. Yeah. Right? They are overwhelmed, right? In the last 3 years, it's been super difficult. But there's, again, the light at the end of the tunnel. If you really, truly actually want this, like if you commit to this, you will bring agents.
Well, we've seen it. We've seen some of our clients have hired, like you have one of your inner circle clients, they hired
Steve. Steve Hatfield. Yeah. I mean, in 60 days, you went from like 14 agents to like 34 agents, right?
Crazy.
And he's he's even like trying to get another a team on board, a brokerage on board and everything like that. So it's doable. But guess what? Steve and his team are committed.
Yeah.
They are intentional. They are hyper-focused, right? Like, there's so much opportunity out there when it comes to attracting the right type of agents because agents, they're looking for better leadership. They're looking for better place to hang their license. They're looking for better support. They're looking to be heard, right? They're looking to keep more money in their pocket. They're looking for better tools that will help them to make more money in 2025. Yeah. And if you can offer that, if you can provide that, and then if you can just amplify that message to all of these agents out there in your market, you're going to be attracting agents. Yeah. The challenge is, and we have these conversations pretty much on a daily basis with our clients, is the fact that most of the time, brokerage owners are closet brokerage owners. And what I mean by that is that they're not amplifying their messaging at all. They're not being loud at all. They're not sharing their value proposition at all. In fact, a lot of them don't really even truly have a compelling value proposition. It's not really being articulated in a way that resonates with the agent, right? So a lot of times agents don't even know that you exist as a brokerage owner. A lot of times they don't even know that broker actually looking to partner with these agents, right? Yeah. So all of that has to be put in place as a puzzle, right? In order for you to attract the type of people that you want to attract. And they're out there. There are agents out there. Yeah. There are agents out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you is, why do you feel like most brokerages struggle to scale? And you basically answered, would you want to add anything on top of that? Like how would, when you see the brokerages struggling right now, like what else, is there anything else you would tell them or recommend for them to do to fix it?
Well, it starts with committing to it, right? It starts with being intentional with it. Right? Like, do you want to grow by bringing in people or do you want to grow by just selling more real estate? Yeah. And again, I'm not judging you if you decide to sell real estate. That's fine. Yeah. Right? But don't live under disguise that you want to grow a brokerage if 90% of your time is spent on selling real estate and then the rest of the time managing your real estate brokerage with 5 or 6 agents. Yeah. Might as well just be part of another brokerage.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, what is that you want out of your business? Do you want the business that will be self-sufficient? What I mean by self-sufficient doesn't mean that you're absent. But what I mean by that is you have a business that does not rely on your personal production. Do you want to own a business where you actually have people that run that business, ideally day to day, and it's cash flowing, and you have the systems to support those people, and then eventually 5 to 10 years down the road, you have an option, you have a choice of selling that business. Or forget about selling the business. I would not even sell the business. I would put somebody in that business to run that business day to day, and you're cash flowing $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month.
Man.
Imagine how would that look?
Yeah.
If you're a brokerage owner right now that in your 60s, even 50s, like there are some that are in their 70s, what is your exit strategy? Is it sell more homes by yourself?
Yeah, probably not.
Or putting somebody in the company that will run it day to day, and you can cash flow, and you don't have to be in that company 5-6 days a week. You can start doing other things in life that you deserve to do, right? And have a business that's self-sustaining, right?
Yeah.
The problem is most of the businesses are owner dependent. They're not really truly businesses. They're glorified jobs. And on top of that, you don't have a one job. You have multiple jobs that you are responsible for on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And you're not making that much money from those jobs. What's the point of being in that business?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you could just give one piece of advice for all of the agents, all of the brokers, especially in this, right now in this market, there's some people, extremely discouraged. There's people thriving as well. I mean, what's your one piece of advice for everyone listening to this?
Figure out what your number one thing is in your business. The needle mover, your North Star, right? And then just savagely, and I don't know if there's such a word as savagely, right? Ruthlessly, just go after it. Period. Commit to it, stick with it, right? Be intentional with it, be laser focused, be consistent, seek help. I'm a huge believer, one of the shortcuts in my success is being in a room with people that have done what I'm trying to do. Period. Tony Robbins talks about it all the time. Proximity is power. Success leaves clues. Be in a room with people that are doing what you're trying to do. So seek out those mentors, right? And be in those rooms. Because as a business owner, man, it's hard. It's tough. I told you, man, we talked about it. You're eating shit sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a dessert, dude. Yeah. And by the way, most of the people cannot even relate to you. Most of the employees cannot relate to you.
Yeah.
Your family members, most of them cannot relate to you.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to be in a room with people that actually can.
Yeah.
And not only can, but also elevate you. And not only elevate, but also validate what you're doing. Because a lot of times, dude, I hired coaches or mentors just so this way they can validate that I'm on the right path. That the action that I'm taking, the decisions that I'm making or about to make are the right decisions or the right actions. Because you can take action in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. You can do that.
Yeah.
It's loss of time, loss of energy, and resources. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the right type of individuals. That you can be part of that room, that circle, and then give up. Just don't give up. Man, we only got one life to live. Yeah. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to be hard. I'd rather have it hard in the next 5 years, 10 years, and then live the rest of my life in a way I wanted to do it. And what I mean by the way I wanted to do it is living on my terms versus taking the easy road or taking a shortcut or not going through pain, not pushing through, and then living the entire life in the same state. What if?
Yeah.
Or I should have done this. Man, I should have pushed through. Because when you're like 65, 70 years old, man, it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, this has been great. I mean, I was thinking about it. It's just thinking about the whole podcast, you know, from $600 to, you know, multiple 7-figure businesses, scaling your millions in real estate to a brokerage owner. So you know, I feel like we just scratched the surface on this you know, this episode. But, you know, like for people who want to, you know, I know that if they're following on YouTube and stuff, but you do have other, you know, like if they want more or to learn more from you, you have your brokerage, right? Where you do coaching, mentoring for.
Yeah. So the brokerage is Best Homes Real Estate, besthomesrealestate.com. We are looking to partner with agents, different caliber agents, high producers, agents that need some leads. Or a lot of leads, brand new agents, team leaders, brokerage owners. We're looking to partner up with all of you guys. We also have agent attraction recruiting company called Modern Day Brokerage. Tristan and I, we're super fortunate to work with over 100 clients right now and helping them to recruit agents. And then I have some other ancillary businesses, you know, mortgage title and all of that stuff. And then we just rolled out Fastly.io. Fastly.io. The lead gen, personal AI, ISA services for all of those agents that need not only leads, but also need someone to work their leads. Their leads.
We're not just generating, we're helping with the conversion side now,
right?
too.
So if you're looking to fill your pipeline with seller and buyer opportunities, if you're looking for someone to work those leads on your behalf and get you those appointments to meet with, go on Fastly.io website, fill out an application, and we'll take care of you guys.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having this conversation, and
Boom.